Hello everybody, my name is Jemmy, and today I'm going to be giving you a Python review. I haven't done Python in a very long time. It's been 7 months, I think. But I'm gonna basically review Python, and we're gonna go over a lot of stuff in this video to just restart our Python knowledge, right? And so the first thing we're going to be going over is mistakes. And by the way, I'm going to be using Jupyter Notebook. I have a video on it if you want to go watch it. It's in the description, and you can install it really easily. I actually followed along with that tutorial in this video because I actually don't have Jupyter Notebook installed on my new PC. So I just installed it, and then from there I made some code for you guys to follow along. So the first one is the mistakes, and we make sometimes. So in this little piece of code right here, there is actually a mistake. I'm not sure if you see where it is, but if we were to run it, there you can see invalid syntax if you meant this or this. Now Python or Jupyter Notebook is actually very smart and actually sees our problem. So the fix to here is just add one more equation sign, and there you go, it works. And the next one is also another if mistake. I'm not sure if you guys can spot it, but let's try it out. And you can see it has an invalid syntax. So our if statement says if chance is greater than 90 and less than 100, then print this, right? Nothing wrong. But we actually have to add the variable again before to our second if statement. So we have to do like this, and there you go, it works. For our next one, we're gonna have a little more Pokemon themish. U is 100, opponent is 90. If U is greater than your opponent, print you can win this fight. Seems to have nothing wrong, but it actually has a lot of things wrong. You actually have to have a colon right here, and you have to indent this print right here. And there you go, it works. Now we're gonna actually shorten this down. So as I said earlier, you have to have an indent right here, right? But we don't always have to. If we have our shortened if else code, or just if code, if U is greater than your opponent, print you can win this fight. And there you go, you can win this fight is printed out, because this is also correct if you just have whatever you're gonna do after your if statement right on the same line. Now we're going to have a short if else statement. So this is in terms of HP. Your HP is 100, your opponent's HP is 90, and print you can win this fight if your HP is greater than your opponent's. Else print retreat, we are outmatched. So if we were to run this, it would work too, because this is also correct. If you were to put whatever you're going to do before the if else statement, that's also correct. And this actually helps me a little bit more, although it's more confusing. It's more like real life, you know, like do something if something happens, but if not, then do something else. So yeah, this is another way of writing an if else code. The next one is a for loop. So the for loop, it has a variable called u, and a for loop that says for training in range 10, HP equals to U trading plus 1. Print, great, your Pokemon's HP now increased to STR HP, basically whatever they have right now, plus exclamation point. And you can see it prints out your Pokemon's HP increased to 101, 102, 103, blah blah blah, to 110. And the reason for this is because every time you this loop repeats, which is every time training is in range 10, basically 10 times, HP equals U 100 plus training, how much it is, plus 1. So there you go, that's how to train in Python. And I forgot to mention that up here we have to we can also set this your opponent to a greater one, and then it goes retreat, we are outmatched. And that's probably why we went to train. And here is our for loop with a list. So the list is a Pokemon, a list or a tuple, I don't know. And Pokemon equals to Charmeleon, Corphish, Crobat, Totodile, Dratini. And for I in Pokemon, I is it can be anything basically, but I is pretty handy. It'll basically be Charmeleon, Corphish, Crobat, Totodile, Dratini, all in one variable because it switches. So for I in Pokemon, print I choose you, I, which is one of these strings right here with an exclamation point. So let's try it out. Shift enter. I choose you, Charmeleon, Corphish, Crobat, Totodile, Dratini. So yeah, it's pretty cool if you have something like you want to print all of it out. Like, I'm not sure, maybe like you have like a for sending cards. I'm not sure, like for a birthday party, you want to get everybody's name in, so you just put everybody's name in this little list right here, and then you got everything out instead of just having to copy paste, and then just change their names manually. You can just do this. It's pretty useful. Just like enter their names, and then you just got a whole list. Copy paste. Life saver, life hacks. And now we're gonna do our next one, which is for loop with string. So we saw a for loop with a tuple or a list, and we saw a for loop with an integer. But what if it's with a string? So in here we have for character in battle, print character. So character is basically I that we saw earlier, right here, or no, right here, right? Yeah, and it'll print every single letter, BATTLE and exclamation point. So there you go, battle, and can be, and these two can actually be anything you want. Oops, like ASDF. There you go. And while loop, this is a new type of, or not a new type, another type of loop we need to look at. We have a variable called lives, and while lives is less or equal to 5, print str 1 times lives. I don't actually need this. For str lives, the reason we need str right here is so that it can fit in with the rest of the string. If we don't have this, then we're screwed because it won't work. The lives is actually an integer, so we need to convert to a string type. And from there we subtract lives by 1. We can actually do this with another fancy technique that I learned, which is just minus equal to 1. This is basically lives equal to lives minus 1, but just shortened down. And if lives equals to 0, break. So break basically just stops everything and makes sure that the code doesn't go on. If we were to run this, 5 lives left, 4 lives left, 3 lives left, 1 lives left, blah blah blah. And yeah, that's the while loop. And this is the continue loop, and this is a little bit more complicated, but sorry, not the continue loop, the continue statement. So this one's a little bit more complicated. We have total here as a variable, fight history, win-win loss, win-win loss. This is a list, by the way, and for I in fight history, if I equals to loss, continue. So basically it's going to skip all the losses, and then it's going to add total to 1. Total is basically wins, and I'm just going to change this to the same thing as I did before. Total plus equals to 1. It's going to total is basically all the wins, and then after that it'll print you won total wins out of len fight history. Len is actually short for length, I'm pretty sure, and what it does is it checks how much items are in this list right here, and it will basically count all of them and it'll add it into right here. Luckily for us, it's actually a string, so we don't have to str it, and then after that it'll print matches. You won 4 out of 6 matches, and to prove that I'm not faking this, you control C a win and put it in the loss right here. It says you won 5 out of 6 matches. This is good for like keeping loss your win loss ratio, you know, if you have a goal set in mind of how much wins you want to have per day. I'm not sure. And this is an infinite loop, so user input equals to blank. While true, user input equals to input what is the password. If user input equals to unlock, break. And we looked at break before right here, and after that it'll total plus, oh sorry, wrong one. It'll print yes, the password is plus user input. So user input is unlock, and let's run it. And the reason I created this one is because, you know, my account got hacked. So what is the password? Oh, I'm pretending I'm the hacker. I'm gonna print his password. Aha, dang it. I ate bun bun. Dang it. Maybe I ate bun bun. Dang it. And then if he prints unlock, yes, the password is unlocked and he's in. I was joking. There's 2-step verification, but that is not my password either. Any of these, they are not my password. Don't try to sign it. I swear they are not my password. And if you do try to sign it, I know your IP address, so you know it's a loss for you. So don't try to sign it. And the functions is another thing we need to review. So we have a function right here called buff process. It has a variable before buff, and in here it has a variable after buff equals before buff times 10. And to make everything short and simple, this basically just makes the basically inserts a variable in here, then multiplies it by 10, then gives it back. So yeah, there you go. Your Pokemon has 100 Stardust. If you were to change this to 100, it would be your Pokemon now has 1,000 Stardust, as you can see. And this is just the printing thing down here. STR magic, again, we have to STR this because it's a variable. I mean, not variable, sorry, integer. So yeah, that is the functions. And the fun final code, I might not do this for every video, but basically what this is, it combines everything that we learned so far in the video into one huge game, kind of. So this borrows the buff process from functions with a little twist right here. And the twist is, instead of having a set amount of buff that they can multiply by, it can be any amount that the player wants. And then we have a couple of variables and lists. And we have this right here. So this is end user input, as we learned from up here somewhere, and it's asked which Pokemon do you want to buff. Now I made this code so that the player couldn't lie. So if they said something that's not in the Pokemon list that they own, it will say you don't own that Pokemon down here. You do not own that Pokemon. And if they were to say something in the list, it would say how much buff do you want to use, 2 to 100, but we don't actually have a cap on how much buff they can use, so they can use any amount they want. And Magico's buff process 70 right here is actually the amount they have before the buff, so we don't actually know how much they have, but we're just going to assume it's 70. We could actually change it to a more better number, like 50. So they have 50 before the buff, and after the buff we print out congratulations plus STR Pokemon, which is the name of the Pokemon they put in, now has STR magic, which is this variable right here, the after the buff, and then plus Stardust as the string, and amount and I plus minus whatever. This is not that important because you know, it's the minor details that actually makes the code work, but it's not the main point. We don't actually see them. So if we were to run this, by the way, this is for the later video, don't look. If we were to run this, we're gonna do let's pretend what's not in the list. Pikachu, right? Yeah, Pikachu's not in the list. So Pikachu, like so, and it says you do not own that Pokemon, mister. We're shift enter again, and we're gonna try something that's from the list. Corphish, and enter how much buff do you want to use. We're gonna say we're gonna be greedy, we're gonna go 500. And if I'm good at math, this should mean that we get 25,000 Stardust. I'm so good. 25,000 Stardust, and yeah, that's the final code for this video. The next video, as you might see, will be on modules, and we're going to review that too. So if you want to check that out, stay tuned, and I'll see you there. Bye.